there was really never a time when I was like, I just don't, I want to give up. It was never, I never had a give up moment. Like, why is this so hard? I naturally I have very high expectations of myself, which results in me crying in a Starbucks bathroom. Scoot back, darling. Top of the afternoon for me, whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome back to Tweed. This is the first episode in quite a while. As you can see, sipping a little Starbucks today. No tea. I did smoke me a CBD, Tweedle Farms CBD joint a couple of hours ago before I went to the gym for the first time in months to go to one of my favorite yoga classes. As a reminder to some and an introduction to people who may have never seen Tweed before, Tweed is a combination, a portmanteau, I may not be using that word correctly, of two things that I love, two words, tea and weed. So you can tweet. And so I always start the episode with what I'm drinking, what I'm smoking. Anyway, this is the first time in a very long time. I can't remember the last episode of Tweed. I know it was months ago though. And that was for a reason. I was in school and I was finishing up school, and I also started a new job. I had a lot going on. I was in, like I said, I was finishing up my graduate degree, which I have done, and that's what this episode is going to be about. So I was finishing up my graduate degree. I was in my last quarter or two of that. I started a new job in January of this year. In November of last year, I started a part-time job, and I was still doing that throughout all of this whole time. And in the midst of all of that, there was like a personal, natural disaster type of thing that happened with people who are very close to me, and yeah, it's just been a lot going on. And so some things had to go on the back burner, and Tweed as well as Fashion Show Friday were two of those things. But I say all that to say, I am very much so coming out of that that point in my life, thankfully, and now Tweed is back. So yeah, I've graduated. I haven't gone through the ceremony. The ceremony is in June, but like I am officially done with my graduate program, my graduate degree, which took me all of every day of 2 years and a quarter. So I started this journey in January of 2022. January of 2022 was my very first quarter of school. I enrolled in the Savannah College of Art and Design, which is a fairly renowned art school based out of Savannah, Georgia. And just a little, not even a little, just the whole backstory of how I found myself at Scad, right? So And I don't know if I've told this story on this channel before. If I did, you're about to hear it again. Because I know I've told it several times. So many moons ago, I used to watch Project Runway religiously. There was this episode where some of the contestants were talking about like where they went to school. You know, one person was like, "Oh, I went to Parsons," and another person was like, "Oh, I went to FIT, which is the Fashion Institute of Technology." And then one person said, "Oh, I went to Scad." And I had heard of Parsons, I had heard of FIT, but I had never heard of Scad. And so I was like, "Scad? What the fuck is Scad?" So I think I probably Googled at the time, and I was like, "Oh, cool, it's an art school." And even prior to this moment, I had always thought about going to art school. This was either in my undergrad or after undergrad, probably after undergrad. And I had always said to myself, really, I'd always said to myself, I'm never going back to school. I'm never going to get an advanced degree. I'm never going for a master's, whatever. But if I ever were to do it, I think I would go to an art school because that just makes sense to me. Like a traditional college, even though my undergrad is a traditional. I went to a traditional 4-year college, a private college. I have my undergraduate is in English. Like my undergrad experience is very traditional. But I always thought like I think I could do better in art school. I feel like that I'm that's more my speed. That's more my my territory. So Scad just remained ever since that moment. Just kind of remained in the back of my head. Fast forward to 2019. I started possibly thinking about going back to school again for a year. I graduated undergrad in 2009. So 2019, I get this. My instinct, my intuition starts talking. Perhaps a download I received, as some people like to say, was like, maybe I should start thinking about going back to school. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. So that was on my mind. I think I left my apartment one day, went to go get something to eat. I was driving back to my apartment. I ended up behind this car, this SUV or whatever. And they had a bumper sticker that said Scad. And I was like, University trying to tell me something? I was literally, I want to say the same day, if not very shortly before this moment, I was thinking about going back to school. And I was probably, again, Scad had always remained in my head. So I'm driving down the road, I get behind this car, Scad on their bumper or on their back window or whatever. So I'm like, oh shit. And I'm very, very much a person who believes in signs and signals and everything happening for a reason and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm like, oh, okay. That was 2019. 2020 obviously was a thing. It happened. And I was like, whew, things are changing. Things are different. Things are shifting. So I really started thinking about it then, like, maybe I will go back to school. 2021, on my job, some things started shifting there. The first thing that happened was my boss at the time got promoted to a different role, which meant there was a vacancy in his old role. And at first, I was like, hell no, I'm not going for it. I'm not applying for it. I'm not interested. But in talking to a number of different people, I was just getting encouragement. Everybody was like, well, TJ, you should, or blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I ended up going for it. I ended up applying for it. Little did I know that this would be the catalyst. The catalyst of me, like, seriously saying, oh, I'm finna go back to school. So I applied for that role, and I did not get it. Not only did I not get it, I was not treated the way I felt that I should have been treated. As someone who had been with the company for like 4 years, who had always had like stellar annual reviews, and I had even I moved from one state to another for and because of this role that I was in, which was self-serving 100%, but it was also a good business decision for this company and the department that I worked in. And so I'm taking all of this into account in the fact that I'm applying for this role. Well, what happened was I didn't even get like an interview for this role. I got a short, like, conversation with the manager who was over this role, who at the beginning of this conversation literally said to me, just letting you know, this is not an interview, because he had called me just completely out of the blue. I had expressed interest to him, and one day, without any pre-planning, without any email saying, hey, I'm going to give you a call about this role, he just calls me out of the blue. So again, I'm not expecting this to be an interview, because interviews are set up, interviews are scheduled. And so one of the first things, again, he says is, this is not an interview. This is just me giving you information about this role. So we talk. I'm just like, okay. And he tells me kind of what, I guess, what might be happening next. And I'm like, okay, cool. So at the same time, after this, I'm still expecting like an interview, because I personally didn't think there was any reason for me not to get an interview. So basically what happened was I was not treated fairly. I was not treated correctly. And this just started a number of things where my eyes started opening to a lot of things that I had not noticed before, in where like this company may have just didn't treat its people the way that it should have. Even though one of its core values was do the right thing, treat people right, et cetera, et cetera. So that whole situation, coupled with a couple of smaller situations immediately after, coupled with, some other shit that started happening, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going back to school. So 2021 is when I decided to actually do it. I applied to Scad because I was like, hey, I've always known about this school. It's always been in the back of my head. I saw the bumper sticker. I feel like, where else would I go? That feels right to me. Almost every step of the way, to be honest, from applying to graduation, there were times where I doubted myself. Like, can I really do this? Am I really good enough? Why am I not learning this brand new thing that I've never been introduced to before? Why do I not just know it? Or why am I not better in this particular skill? Not the whole time, not the whole entire time, but there were certainly moments throughout the entire experience where I was just like, what the fuck am I doing? So I apply very close to like the deadline, and after I apply, I get kind of a message saying it can take, a couple of weeks or so to make a decision. You'll hear from us, blah, 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 blah. Well, maybe a day or two after I applied, I got an email from the co-chair of the department that I applied, which is the School of Business Innovation. Professor Peeler, shout out to you if you ever watch this. But he called me. He sent me an email and then he called me, and we talked, I think, about 45 minutes. And this conversation was him just like reaching out, wanting to do, really, this was kind of an interview, to be honest. Just wanting to make sure that I was making the right decision in going this particular major or discipline, because in my letter of interest that I sent to the school, I was very much talking about fashion. And my discipline is creative business leadership. So his part of his conversation was just to make sure that I knew what I was getting myself into. And I explained to him that I fully understood like why he would be apprehensive. I understand that there seems to be a disconnect in what I'm saying in the letter of interest versus what I'm doing. But basically I was like, listen, my goal is to start a business. And I need to be in this area in order to do that because I know next to nothing about starting a business. Yes, my business will be in fashion, but the fashion stuff, I have that innately. And what I don't have, I can teach myself. I need to know and I need to be taught about business. At the end of the conversation, he was like, okay, cool. So I'm about to approve your application and blah, 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 blah. And when I tell you I was struck, because I did not expect for a decision to be made in the moment. Again, I'm still thinking it's going to be a couple of days, maybe a week or so. After this 45-minute or so conversation, he's like, all right, so your application's about to be approved. And I was like, I actually did it. Like I'm like when he said it, I paused and started to tear up a little bit. And I just sat down for a moment like I actually got in. Like I actually did it. So yeah, I got in. And that was just the beginning. Very first class I attended, which was January of 2022, was a challenge for me because again it was a challenge in multiple ways. One, because I had not been in school since 2009, and again this was 2022. Two, this is a discipline that I am not at all familiar with. Three, it was a 8 o'clock in the morning class, and I am not a morning person. Or was it 7 o'clock? It was early as fuck. It was way too early. So I have graduated with a 4.0, which has never happened before in my life. High school, I scraped by in high school. College, I don't remember. I have no idea what my GPA was, but my undergrad experience was not at all like this. In fact, it took me 6 years to finish my undergrad degree. At one point, I was put on like academic probation because I really just didn't want to be there at the time, and my grades reflected that. So after being put on academic probation, I had to really just like I had to turn it around. I was like, shit, if I don't turn this shit around, I'm going to be put out. And that was part of the thing too about me accepting, like being accepted or me applying. Like you had to get your transcript. And I was like, baby, Jesus, these folks can look at this transcript and be like, sir, what are you thinking? And honestly, like, so when you order a transcript, you can order like one for yourself and one for the school. I didn't want to look at it. I just ordered for the school. I said, I'm going to send it out. I still don't know. To this day, I don't know what that transcript looks like. Because I was like, I don't need anything else entering my mind that's going to say, TJ, you can't do this. So I was like, nah, fuck it. Just send them the transcript. I do not want to see it. Let me finish the rest of the requirements that I got to do. But whatever. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So yeah, I'm officially done with this program that at one point had me crying in a Starbucks bathroom. Literally crying, shedding tears, getting so overwhelmed in Starbucks working on a project that I had to go to the bathroom and just shed some tears. But I did it. And I did it, and I have a 4.0 GPA. And it's because I didn't give up. I applied myself so much to this program because I knew why I was doing it and I knew why I was there, and I could see the end goal, and I was working towards my vision, and I was working in my passion. There was really never a time when I was like, I just don't, I want to give up. It was never, I never had a give up moment, I don't think. But there were moments where I was just like, oh my God, like, why is this so hard? Why is this so difficult? Why am I not picking this up and being as good as I feel like I should be? Again, in this thing that I've never had any experience with before. So I was really not at all giving myself the grace that I should have been. And I was being very hard on myself at times and allowing like my personal expectations of myself, which were through the roof. I naturally I have very high expectations of myself. And so when I feel like I'm not meeting those, I just get really down on myself, which results in me crying in a Starbucks bathroom as I drink. But I did it. I got through it and I did it, and I'm so proud of myself. I mean, going from saying for years, I'll never go back to school. Shout out to my friend Byron, who actually encouraged me ever since I graduated undergrad. He always encouraged me to go back to school. Like every time I would see him, he'd be like, "So when you go back to school? So when are you going, get that master's degree?" Da 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 da. I would always be like, "Byron, I'm never going back to school." Shout out to him. Shout out to people who always encourage you and can see your potential even when you cannot. I ran into him maybe like 2 years ago, a year or so ago, and I was telling him about how I was in school now, and he was like, "Okay, cool. So when you get a PhD?" I said, "Let's not do this. Let's not do this." I said, "Stop this now, sir. You are partially the reason I'm even in school now, so I'm not going to do this with you. PhD? No, 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 no. Master's is enough. Fast forward to me 5-10 years from now getting a goddamn PhD." But yeah, shout out to Byron for that, for just years of just indirectly encouraging me, directly or indirectly encouraging me to go back to school. So yeah, I'm officially free. I'm officially free. I did it. There were times where I just didn't know how. There were times where I was just like, "Child, why are you even asking me to do this? I don't have anything more to give. I am literally on E. I'm running on fumes. Why must I give you more?" Yeah, I'm officially done. I'm officially done. I officially have mental bandwidth back. I officially have like some time back. And I have a fucking master's degree. I can say I have a master's degree, which is wild. So, if anybody at your job is pissing you off, and you've been thinking about going back to school to make a pivot or make a change, to telling people to kiss your ass or fuck them, consider this a sign. Consider this a sign. I gotta order some. I gotta order some school like hoodies and stuff. I looked on their website a while ago and I was like, "Oh my God, once I graduate, I want to get some of this stuff." I gotta do that because it was cute. Anyway, welcome back to Tweed. Welcome back to Tweed. I really have no excuse to do these weekly now. So if these don't come out weekly, I'm gonna slap myself. So welcome back to Tweed. Fashion Show Friday will be back as well next Friday. If the Lord say the same and the creek don't rise. Thank you to everyone who encouraged me with getting through this degree and pushing me and telling me I can do it and helping me in every way and helping me even with like projects and stuff, and like trying to teach me things outside of class, and cooking me meals sometimes, or sometimes just treating me to dinner, and just giving me words of encouragement when I needed it. And yeah, I really appreciate it. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So yeah, thanks for watching this episode of Tweed, and I'll be back next week. Tweed's back! I'm excited. I'm excited. All right, deuces.